Hello you, welcome to Geekism, and welcome to all the lovely new friends I've made from the life sim community due to Paralives. You're all very welcome here. Geekism is all about creative gaming, spending too long on the small details while the game usually burns down around us. So if you enjoy an eye for detail and some British snark, you're in the right place. I never like doing all the YouTuber stuff, but please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, you know the drill. Today we're decorating a very small apartment in a bohemian style. I want to try something very different from yesterday's clean and minimalist mid-century ranch, and it doesn't get much less clean and minimalist than boho. Boho as a style is defined by its lack of definition. It's unconventional. It breaks many design principles by emulating a life of travel, nomadicness, and non-conformity. Whether you love it or loathe it, there's no denying that it's never boring. Looking at modern bohemian style and seeing macrame hangings and little Vishnus, you may be surprised to learn that it actually has its roots in 19th century Paris following the French Revolution. When the system of aristocratic patronage collapsed, many artists and writers were plunged into poverty and took to living in marginalised neighbourhoods. Citizens of these neighbourhoods became known as bohemian, from the misconception that the nomadic Romany people, who lived similarly free-spirited lifestyles, originated from the Bohemia region of the Czech Republic. To both survive economically and in protest of rigid Victorian standards, these artists rejected fancy clothing and furnishings, repurposing vintage fabrics and materials where they could. For a romanticised look at this period, you can take a look at the opera La Bohème or the musical Moulin Rouge. When we think of boho today, we are more likely to be referencing the revival of the style from the 1960s and 70s. Once again, its popularity was driven by anti-conformity, but this time it was spearheaded by the hippies and beatniks of America opposing the Vietnam War and suburban norms. Think Woodstock and flower power, free love. Or perhaps it brings visions of its even more recent renaissance in the early 2000s, where it was interwoven with festival culture and is often referred to as boho chic. The build I'm doing today is a little more eclectic than modern boho chic. I've attempted to make it look like our para here has travelled a lot and has an eclectic assortment of trinkets and memories, rather than the more curated style that boho chic has become. I'd like to think our para here wouldn't even consider herself bohemian. She just likes what she likes, and likes lots of it. As I said at the top of the video, there aren't really any rules for bohemian interior design, as it celebrates a relaxed, carefree and rule-free aesthetic, but when trying to replicate it here, there are some guidelines you can follow. Layering is important. A couch needs cushions, throw pillows, blankets, and a stuffed animal maybe. The floor is home to multiple rugs of various shapes, sizes, and colours, often only having the fact that they're all rugs in common, and items on shelves are usually crammed in with not much care for visuals. Picture frames sit behind candles, ornaments are often used to prop up books. Natural materials and lush greenery should be littered everywhere as well. Wherever there's an inch of space, lots of woven materials such as rattan, wicker and jute should be used, and wood should be warm and distressed. Whilst the furniture itself can stay simple, the bohemian style is often layered over mid-century furniture. Furnishings and ornaments should be ostentatious, loud and invoke a story. Think of global and vintage influences, flea market finds, family heirlooms, antique pottery and globes. And finally, colour is your playground. Again, the furniture itself is often understated with neutral bases of beige, ivory and warm browns. Furniture usually gets its interest instead from texture, but accents should be rich with saturated colours, deep greens, burnt oranges, sapphire blues, all adding vibrancy. In my opinion, the style lends itself to an apartment build rather than a house. Perhaps the nomadic nature of its fans makes the often less permanent living arrangements of an apartment make more sense, so I chose this lot in the heart of downtown Molino. It's such a small, awkward space that I had a few issues getting it to work, but I actually enjoyed the challenge of fitting everything in. Often limitations can breed creativity as we look for solutions, and whilst it's fun to build big sprawling mansions, my next build actually is going to be a little bit more grandiose, it's often very satisfying to work within some predefined constraints and coming up with clever solutions, such as the bed/storage area that you're about to see, really is all part of the fun. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. This was really just an excuse for me to take every single piece of clutter in the game and put it down and see what it looked like. And I'm actually really quite impressed with how much stuff we got into such a small space. This apartment is furnished, so I just went through and briefly got rid of everything. It actually already has a little bit of a boho style, to be honest with you. It is a bit of an eclectic mix, but I really wanted to lean into that and dial it up to 11. And in doing so, I actually moved a lot of the space around. I think that back corner there for the couch and TV is where it was originally, but this little alcove here was actually the kitchen in the original build. I moved that down to the side and instead had this as a little breakfast bar area that actually is just the dining area for the space. I wanted to put a bench along the back there as a little book nook, sort of breakfast nook, but stuff still piled up there because that's just the sort of build this is, really, just things everywhere. And again, still wanted to keep in mind that it is a rented apartment, most likely, so a lot of the furnishings, the stuff that's sort of nailed down, is actually fairly plain. The only thing that the para here, I guess, has done is add some new curtains, something a little bit more suited to her bohemian style, but everything else that's sort of stuck there is pretty basic, including this very, very small kitchen. I think perhaps this is the only thing I need to go back and have another look at, because honestly it isn't quite functional. I don't think the paras are able to spot a piece of counter that they can use for preparing food, so they're unable to make anything. I sent the para to the fridge. One thing, I don't really play the game much as far as the live mode is concerned, or live mode if you're a weirdo, but I always throw a para into a place like this, or throw a sim into a place like this, and just have them move around and interact for a few moments, really just to make sure that pathfinding works and that I haven't built anything that isn't usable, because my plan is to put these up onto the workshop and let people download them and have fun with them. Still trying to figure all that sort of stuff out, and I have a feeling maybe some of the features might be locked off because I'm playing an early release of the game and it isn't actually out for another day, I think, at time of recording. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I'll keep working on that. If you're watching this after launch and I figured it out, there will be a link in the description to this. But I'm not quite sure how this one in particular works. If I save this, what am I saving? Do I save the top 2 floors of this building? Do I just save the furnishings of the building and they have to fit within the walls that are already there? Or what I've purchased here is actually the whole lot, and it includes the empty storefronts that's down below. A lot of that stuff I don't think we'll really fully know until the game actually gets into more people's hands. Saying that, as far as I know, houses are going to be available on the workshop. There's a tab for them at least when I go looking, so I will do my best to put these on there and have them there for you to play. I had a lot of comments in my first build video saying just that people enjoy watching this stuff and enjoy downloading it and use it themselves, but don't really feel like they can do it. I will say though that the only way you're going to get good at this sort of stuff is by doing it. I'm no expert, I'm no professional, I just enjoy doing this and therefore keep doing it, and you start to just pick up little tips and ways to do things and ways to make things look fun. So really, if you do feel like you would like to get better at building, there's only one way to do it, and that's to build. And you have to remember that this is a video game, so as long as you're enjoying yourself, you're playing it correctly. Finishing off with one of these shelves in the kitchen, this really is probably my favourite piece in the game so far because I find it so very, very versatile. Here, it's just great for filling in gaps and adding in that extra little bit of clutter, especially here with sort of style that we're going for. There's going to be a lot of stuff around, but then also, as I said, this is a rented apartment with a very small kitchen, so usually when those things are built, they will do their best to fit as much storage as they possibly can into the space. Again, I really love building in sort of set up apartments like this because I just find it's really fun to it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, really. You're just trying to work out where stuff can go. Having to have the fridge across the door there from the rest of the kitchen, I just think it's great. And whilst I would never choose to do that if I was building this from scratch, having it there actually makes it look, in my opinion, very realistic. I've been into some of these ridiculous apartments that shouldn't be rented out and look no bigger than a closet, and they very often have setups like that where the fridge is across the room, or it's a small fridge next to the couch. There is actually a little balcony here, which I found was quite cute. Again, we just sort of put a bench and a few plants out there. This was the one thing I didn't check as to whether or not the para could get out here and use it, although I have set it up as if she's coming out and having a read of a book and a coffee. So far, the build mode for Paralives has really impressed me, but honestly the thing that has impressed me the most is the amount and the variation in the clutter pieces. They really are fantastic, and it just shows you how important that stuff is, because even though I do think it's fantastic, I already want double and just a lot more of it. There's some really great use pieces there. There's some really useful stuff and really clever stuff that I wouldn't have thought of, but there's also quite a few gaps in there as well. You'll see there's a pot with some paintbrushes in, because there isn't a pot with some pencils in, or pens, which I thought was a weird miss. There isn't a set of keys. That would be really nice. A few times now I've come to place a set of keys by the door and haven't been able to. What else was the other thing that I assumed would be there and wasn't? I can't think now. A digital alarm clock would be nice. Currently there's just an old school analog one. Digital one would be better. It would be useful as well. It's nice to have both options. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of this sort of stuff is going to be coming as the development of the game continues, and of course we have to remember that modding is going to be a real integral and viable part of the development of this game as well. I don't quite know how, but there are already mods. I actually just briefly got one just to make sure it worked, and it was some vegan food options. So it's a vegan honey and a vegan milk bottle and stuff, just reskins of the stuff that's in the game already, but just wanted to see what the process of getting a mod was, and it's very easy. It worked perfectly. Here's the bed that I was talking about before. And as I said, it was very fun to come up with a solution to have this bed fit in the space, look like it's purposeful, and also provide some much needed storage. It's heavily inspired by a build by Zoybean. Did an amazing job of really pushing the clutter and build systems of Paralives to their limits. I'll link the video in the description. This bit here, placing the counter, the TV counter underneath the bed to provide some built-in storage, was ripped straight from her video. It's a fantastic idea, something I'll definitely bear in mind for more confined spaces in the future as well. I don't work very well in a bubble. I'm a big believer in a rising tide lifting all boats, and when I'm into something, I watch a lot of content on it. So I'm currently consuming Paralives build videos quicker than folks can make them. And if I see something that is cool and I want to try my take on it, I will, but I'll always shout out the original creator as best as I can. So again, thanks to Zoybean. I really look forward to seeing what else you make. Unfortunately, there isn't footage of the bathroom build here. I think I just forgot to press record on that one, I'm afraid. Sorry. I've been building this on a lazy Saturday afternoon. It's been throwing it down with rain here locally, and yeah, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even get dressed. Still wearing my PJs as I record this voiceover. This game is very quickly shaping up to be a bit of a happy place for me. I'm a big fan of any game that allows you the amount of creative freedom that this one does. And I'm a big fan of interior design and architectural design, so I'm going to be in this one for the long haul. I think I've already got 15-20 build ideas written down, another 100 rattling around in the brain, I'm sure. I just want to be doing a lot of different types of different buildings. I'm really looking forward to when they allow us to do the community builds, the sort of businesses, cafes and all that sort of stuff. There are some cheats right now. One of the pieces that they sent us in the press kit that came alongside our key was a sheet of cheats, all the stuff you would expect: how to gain more money, how to give your paras full stats and remove things like hunger and what have you. But then one of the cheats is a pretty over-encompassing just dev tool almost, where you are allowed, it lets you edit the community lots, although there's a big asterisk next to it that says use this, with caution. This isn't going to be what actual community editing looks like. It's almost like it's allowing us the dev tools that they have to do this sort of stuff. So I'm tempted to take a look at that, but also I don't necessarily want to balk my game. Let me know in the comments, is that something you'd like to see me try and do? Maybe rebuilding one of the cafes. I actually think the developers have done a great job on the community lots. I think they all look really fantastic, really sort of lived in and realistic. But I'm just like the idea of building them myself as well. I can think when the game is a little bit more stable, I like the idea of just doing a complete rebuild where we go into the town and basically delete everything it lets us and completely starting afresh, doing every single building build by build. That's something I've done in past sim games and something that I think would work really well here with Paralives. Keeping the stuff that's real key, like the castle and the lighthouse, but going in and basically reformatting all of the buildings that the game lets us. Don't necessarily want to start such a big sort of task right now, while the game is very quickly going to be going through a lot of changes. They've already announced a day one patch, which, I'll be honest with you, in the grand scheme of the video game industry is fairly normal. Although I think a lot of folks in the life sim genre have, let's just say the bar is very low. So they all seem very impressed by the fact that we're getting a day one patch. It's actually pretty standard, honestly, to get some initial feedback from early playtesters. And for the most part, the stuff that they're fixing are bug fixes. There's a few little quality of life features in there as well. But yeah, it's nice to see. Obviously, very happy to see active developers and excited to see how they move forward. They did show off a bit of a roadmap. It wasn't very in-depth, to be honest with you. They just kind of said that the game comes out on Monday, and then for around 6 months we'll be getting quality of life and bug fixes, and then after 6 months we can expect some major content. Part of me worries that maybe 6 months is a little long of a wait before we see any new content, but really bug fixes and quality of life stuff might well feel like content as it comes. So I'm not completely writing it off, but I like the idea of some new furniture before the 6 month mark. It does feel a little bit of a long wait for me. Saying that, I'm sure as soon as modders get their hands on this stuff, we're going to be inundated with cool stuff. The other thing I think I would like to do on the channel is a bit of a mod roundup occasionally, weekly or every few weeks, showing off some of the best stuff that I've found to use in the game. It will be a build-centric video that, as I've said before, I'm a builder in these games. I enjoy the process of making the spaces, not so much playing in them. I have a para here made just because it looks better on the glamour shots at the end here to see somebody using the space. But otherwise, yeah, it's going to be build focused stuff. So new furniture that's been added, little fixes to the gizmo, the little thing that allows you to move around the pieces. We often call that a gizmo in these games. So yeah, all of that sort of stuff, very excited to see more of, and I hope you are too. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be good.